So, Blue Jay fans, what do you consider the wild cards for the Blue Jays' wild card chances? You can listen and watch my views from the On Fek Circle, as you can do every Tuesday live on the Jays from the Couch YouTube channel. And of course, we are presented by JaysFromTheCouch.com. This is but one entity that Jays from the Couch brings to you on a weekly basis. The main podcast, the Mothership podcast, the Jays from the Couch radio podcast, to be exact, hosted by our senior editor and founder, Sean Doyle. That's on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm fortunate enough to be able to be a semi-regular on there, but we've had Shai Davidi, and we've had Keegan Matheson and Jordan Romano. We invite in, especially in the off-season, other podcasters, other bloggers from other teams, so we can kind of get their viewpoints as what's happening, and not only with their team, but with the Blue Jays. And on Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern time, it's Sunny Side of the Dome. That's hosted by my friend and colleague, Karen Suter. The title may seem to think it's just a, goo-goo-eyed fan show. Karen is a diehard Blue Jays fan, but she just delivers the goods. Terrific baseball analysis. She does use her understanding of the game to help you feel good about being a Blue Jay fan. So I encourage you to tune in to the YouTube channel Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I am your host, the Feckless Wonder, Steve Fek. Welcome to another edition of the On Fek Circle. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of the episode, I do want to also talk about JaysFromTheCouch.com, the website. If you're not checking it out every day, you're missing out on valuable Blue Jays news. Ryan Mueller has been doing a terrific job. I'm not sure he ever sleeps during the baseball season, but he does a great daily recap of all of the Blue Jays minor league affiliates and players. So you can check that every day. You can also find a variety of feature articles, analysis articles, and our editor, Sean Doyle, has just kicked off a new series called Blue Jays Spotlight, where we're basically picking one player at a time and kind of going into depth. Some might be more number crunching. Some might be more, well, what do you think? More analysis pieces. So make sure you check out the JaysFromTheCouch.com website, as well as tuning in to these programs every week. Luckily, no more apologies. Of course, the show is only about 3 minutes in, so I'm sure I might have to do one before the end of the show or before next week's program. I want to get right into a topic that I teased at the top of the intro, and that is wild card factors for the Blue Jays wild card chances. Now, going into tonight's game, their playoff chances are at 45.3%, according to what I saw on Baseball Reference. To give you an idea, that means that anything above 45% winning percentage, or a 450 winning percentage, if you will, that means the Blue Jays are outperforming what the odds makers are saying their chances are for making the playoffs. Now, before you send me mathematical formulas and talk about Pythagorean theories and all, it just boils down to basically they have a 45% chance to make the playoffs, be a wild card team. So it would just, you need to kind of jump away from the formulas and just look at it. Okay, so they're basically saying the Blue Jays are going to be winning 45% of their games going forward. And you have to factor in also what the other teams are doing. But anything above a 45% winning percentage, the Blue Jays are outperforming what the odds makers are saying they should be doing. I teased at the beginning the Blue Jays Spotlight segment on JaysFromTheCouch.com. I'm not only the Feckless Wonder, I am the Shameless Wonder. So I'm going to plug the piece that I had up there this morning about a spotlight on Corey Dickerson. And to me, Corey Dickerson may be the most interesting of the wild card factors for the Blue Jays going down the stretch. He's been an all-star. He's won a Gold Glove. And when I'm talking about Lourdes Gurriel being a Gold Glove finalist in left field, he worked on his game. He was a legitimate Gold Glove winner when he was in Pittsburgh in 2018. He has twice been traded at the deadline to contending teams, from the Pirates to the Phillies, where he did his part. The Phillies faltered, but he did his part, stepping up to the plate. And all the numbers and stats are there at jaysfromthecouch.com if you check out the article, either while you're listening to me or maybe after this show is over. And then also he was traded and he didn't quite do as well the second time he was traded. But it's interesting to note also that the Miami Marlins had him on their roster, and he was a critical player for them, not only giving them good at-bats off the bench, but also helping show young players a little bit more plate discipline. And if you watch the game on Sunday, the first two at-bats Corey Dickerson had were 9-pitch at-bats. He fell behind relatively early, which is something he tends to do, but somehow he worked the count to 9 pitches, fouling up some pitchers, doing a true choking up on the bat. He does it. He's done it his entire career, and it's just amazing to watch him just working at bat. And that's a big advantage when you're trying to run up pitch counts, not just for your starting pitchers, but if you're coming off the bench as a bench bat, you want to wear down that reliever because they're going to come out fire and gas. Dickerson has great plate discipline. He has an idea of the strike zone. Even if there's, like people are throwing sliders or cutters or something where the ball is moving, he's almost instant recognition, and it's hard to fool him and strike him out, as a rule. So Corey Dickerson is going to play a very big part, especially considering that George Springer was placed on the IL yet again due to his ankle sprain. Otto Lopez is going to be making his major league debut at some point during the series against the Nationals. And I would think that Corey Dickerson is going to get a bulk of at-bats especially against tough right-handed pitchers. But it'll not only be able to rest guys like Gurriel, even Hernandez, give him a breather every once in a while. But he, as a bench weapon, the Blue Jays are heavily right-handed. To have that kind of professional hitter as a left-handed weapon off the bench, that is a wild card factor for the Blue Jays. And I'm sure Charlie Montoyo is just thrilled because really he's had, Joe Panik's, when Kevin Biggio is healthy and hasn't been starting, you did have him off the bench. But Corey Dickerson's got some pop. He has hit more than 20 home runs several times in his career. So I think that is one wild card that Blue Jay fans need to pay attention to. Perhaps an even bigger wild card would be the Boston Red Sox. And I know nobody wants to hear that. And even though I was, tooting the horn for the Red Sox in the offseason, I never felt that they would be leading the division for the majority of the season. Now, of course, they have fallen upon some hard times, but Chris Sale is back. And Chris Sale doesn't need to be Cy Young Award-winning Chris Sale. Chris Sale just needs to be a stabilizing influence on that rotation. Give him 5 or 6 good innings. He's coming off of Tommy John, so it's not like he can go out and throw, 110 pitches, 8 or 9 innings every outing. If he can just keep them in games, give some stability, the Red Sox are going to be hard to displace from the wild card race. You can argue that the A's might catch the Astros, But either way, whether it's the Astros or the A's, they're going to be one of the wild cards. If the Red Sox can right the ship and play the way they did for the majority of the season so far, they're going to be tough to catch in the wild card standings. And that's the one problem about trying to make a late run. It's not that the Blue Jays can't, but odds makers, and no matter how you feel about sports gambling or whatever it is, it's here to stay. It's a primary part of the business plan for Major League Baseball now. Many of the regional sports outlets are named after Bally casinos. The Braves are one. And there's several across the thing where the casinos. I mean, that's the name of the sports network now. You see odds everywhere. And you can use your phone. You can, you don't have to go in a dark alley, and find a bookie and slip them a piece of paper that's coded, to place your bet down. You can place legal bets now on just about every sport, but on baseball, you can do it by pitch, by out, by inning. There's all kinds of things. But you have to keep in mind that odds makers are in the business of making money off of people that bet on sports. So it's not like this, it's a Canadian team, so they're going to reduce the odds. No, they're setting those odds because they have a pretty good idea of how things are going to play out based on whatever formulas that they use to determine who's a favorite, overs and unders and things like that. And let me go and talk about the Yankees for a second. Are the Yankees ahead of the Blue Jays right now, not only in the AL East, but in the wild card chase? Yes, they are. Did they go out and make lots of big splash moves and do typical Yankee things? Yes, they did. Does it matter? No. The fork might not be as visible right now, but the fork is still in the back of the Yankees. And for all those Yankee fans that are tempted to get all outraged and send nasty remarks, read between the lines, Yankee fans, you're not making the playoffs. I honestly think, despite what odds makers are saying, that the Blue Jays, if anyone is going to catch either the A's or the Red Sox, it's going to be the Blue Jays, but everything has to fall into place. You have to have wild cards players like Corey Dickerson or Santiago Espinal. Yeah, you need to have guys like that really turn it on and really have significant impacts on game outcomes. The bullpen, it is still a work in progress. I think it has been stabilized with Adam Simber. Jordan Romano has made some. It might not seem like he's done things with his delivery, but he has. I think he is kind of slowed. He's kind of slowed everything down, and he is at the top of his game. So that is good. Yeah, I mean, you still have to deal with the Rafael Delices of the world. Tim Meza is going to be coming off the IL very, very soon, probably on this road trip. That'll be a nice left-handed addition to the bullpen. But these are the kind of things that have to happen in order for the Blue Jays to make up the significant amount of ground that they need to make up. This is why when everybody really was kind of struggling early on, I felt that the Blue Jays squandered an opportunity. It is a once-in-a-decade opportunity that they had early. They were one of the few teams with money. They were one of the few teams that had the young core and prospects that they could deal like they did in the Berrios deal. I think they should have done more early as opposed to closer to the deadline. I mean, can you complain about getting Jose Barrios or Barrios? Actually, not Barrios, Barrios. No, you can't. You can't complain about that. And had they acted earlier, would they have gotten Barrios? Maybe. Maybe they would have still been able to make a significant deal with other prospects. I mean, the new rankings came out, even with guys, like Manoa coming up to the major league roster this year. They still have the 10th best farm system. And that includes dealing away Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson and having the promotions they've had. So the Blue Jays are still in a good position where they could have made moves, but it's a moot point now. Okay, trade deadline is over. And yeah, you can get the players like Alec Smith who are not on 40-man rosters, and you can make deals for them, and hopefully things would work out. Maybe he's a September call-up and an effective pinch runner. He's a terrific defender. He's a great base runner. He just can't hit to save his life. But that's not what you want a Alec Smith for. You want him for outfield defense, and you want him to be able to steal some bases for you, or at least go from first to third, first to home even on a hit to the gap. That's why you have him there in critical games. So those are just a couple of the wild cards that you would need to consider. What do you think? If you're out there watching the live stream on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and also on the Jays from the Couch Twitter, it's at Jays from Couch, because Twitter's Twitter. It doesn't make sense to put the there because you don't have so many characters. You can rant, rave, and say all kind of stupid things, but you have to really abbreviate what your handle is. So it's at Jays from Couch on Twitter if you're watching it. I want to know what you think. I mean, give us your input. This isn't, okay, am I hosting this show? Yes. Am I the final word on anything Blue Jays? Obviously not. But we still want to have conversations, and it's the reason that you watch these shows is, yes, okay, maybe there's information or viewpoints that I will give, or Karen will give, or Sean and the podcast guest will give that maybe you hadn't thought of before, but it's still a conversation that we're having. And just because we're streaming live, it does not mean that you can't join that conversation. And even after the fact, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, if you put your comments there, I will answer them, as will Sean, as will Karen. We want to engage you and have you be part of our show. So let's move on now to Blue Jays Way, which is a segment that we try to close the show with. And we want to talk about not just Blue Jays history, but what it means to be a Blue Jays fan. What have you experienced as a Blue Jay fan? And what Blue Jays culture is. Again, being the only Canadian franchise you're up against as far as the other 29 teams, you're not going to get on TV as often in the States, which is the bigger market. No offense, Canada, but I mean the United States. Keith Duncan, I'm here. And you're here, Keith, and what do you got? What do you got in the arsenal? What are your odds of Alec Manoa getting Rookie of the Year this year? Personally, it's better than I think it's even money for sure. I think he is the hands down favorite, especially if he keeps pitching the way he does down the stretch. I mean, Manoa is a little bit more advanced for a prospect mentally because he pitched big games in a major conference, the Big 12, while he was West Virginia. And he's just a beast. He has a beast mentality. So if you look at American League, rookies, is there anyone that really stands out? I don't think so. I think Manoa should get, if not serious consideration, he should get Rookie of the Year award based on his performance. And Keith, I do appreciate you checking in. And that's an interesting question. It's one that I really hadn't thought of, to be honest, until you brought it up. I just assumed, well, of course he's Rookie of the Year. But I mean, Alec Manoa is going to be the future. He's going to be what everybody, including myself, thought Nate Pearson was going to be. Casey Mize, a good pitcher. He has gotten stronger as the years gone on. Where are the Tigers? Manoa is going to be pitching in bigger games. The Blue Jays are going to get on TV, and in front of writers, I think, more down the stretch because, again, they're going to be in it. Like Casey Mize, great pitcher. He's not Alec Manoa. I mean, he's still developing, I think, his game plan. Alec Manoa knows what he wants to do on the mound. I mean, yes, the bench calls pitches. Yes, the catchers get the game plan. But you can just tell he knows 2 pitches ahead what he wants to do. And that's what Nate Pearson hasn't shown us yet. I still think that he can. I really think he's going to be a bullpen guy. But, Alec Manoa is the future ace of the Blue Jays, especially with Simeon Woods Richardson out of the picture. I'm not a big believer that Woods Richardson is the real deal. He'll be a good major league pitcher. But when you get traded twice before you're 20 years old, somebody's seeing something. And I'm not talking about behavior issues. I'm talking about they're seeing something when they're pitching and their approach to the game that makes them think, yeah, he's got this talent, but I don't know. Well, back to Blue Jays way, and over the next couple of weeks, since the Blue Jays are in a pennant race for a wild card spot, they're not going to win the division, for a wild card spot, I want to focus on different pennant races from the past and what Blue Jay fans might remember about that, what they went through in those pennant races, and maybe try to draw a comparison to what's happening here in 2021. Now, I'm going to start with a season that I think might surprise you. I mean, my go-to is always as being the old guy on Jays from the Couch, going to 84, 85, 89, all of those years, 87, all of those years. I'm going to go with 2014. I'm going to do it for a couple of reasons. One, it was the first real indication that what Alex Anthopoulos had in mind for this Blue Jay team was already in place and we're going to turn into a winning team. Now, the Blue Jays did not make the playoffs in 2014. They were eliminated, I want to say, on September 26th. They finished above 500. I thought Gibby did a great job with that team, handling a middling kind of bullpen. I mean, when Casey Janssens is your closer, you have bullpen issues like the Blue Jays have. Now, we have a closer in Romano, and if Julian Merriweather ever gets healthy ever again, he's another terrific back end of the bullpen option. I think Nate Pearson will also end up being a back of the bullpen option. But you don't have a terrific deep bullpen if you have Aaron Loop pitching in critical situations. Rotation was okay. Yeah, Dickey, Stroman came up. Mark Burley was an all-star. So the pieces were kind of there. And then you had a terrific offense where you had Joey Batista had 35 homers and 103 RBIs, I think that it is. And Encarnacion had 34 homers. And all told, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is not Sesame Street. I'm actually having to count it. You had 9 guys hit double-digit homers on that 2014 team. Similar to the young roster we have, everybody among the 9 regulars, and I'm going to include Springer, even though he's been hurt most of the year, as those regulars. All 9 regulars in the lineup have double-digit homers. So that's pretty impressive of a lineup going on here. But you can see where the thing between 2014 and 2021 kind of tie together. The season did not start well. They got off to a 12-15 start in April, but month of May, the team, everything just gelled. It seemed every managerial decision that Gibbons made, and I know a lot of people are not John Gibbons fans. He was a terrific manager. Okay, I wish Gibby was still here with this team. I can only imagine what he would do. Again, I'm not kicking Charlie Montoyo, but Gibbons is a superior in-game manager. What Montoyo does is off the field and instilling confidence. That's what Montoyo's good at. Gibbons was a field manager, a game manager. But they went 21-9 in May. They went in first place on May 22nd. And Encarnacion actually tied the major league record for home runs in May. And he tied Mickey Mantle. So if you're putting up that kind of month and you're dropping the name Mickey Mantle, you're having a pretty damn good month. So they stayed in first place through the end of June. I think it was a 1.5 lead going into July. They struggled a bit in July. Come the All-Star break, they did have Bautista, Burley, and Encarnacion were all All-Stars. But they just never seemed to regain that same magic that they had during that hot streak. And remember, the Blue Jays had a nice run early, and eventually their shortcomings, primarily the bullpen, cost them critical games. A couple things that are mentioning in 2014. They snapped a 17-game losing streak in Yankee Stadium. They lost 17 straight games, not series, straight games in Yankee Stadium. They broke that streak on July 26th. And they opened September still in a wild card race, and they were about this distance that the Jays are at now. They were right around 5-6 games out of the wild card. And again, then in 2014, it was the third year, because they started in 2012, that they had multiple wild card teams going in there. They opened September by kind of exercising a demon in the Rays. Even then, they swept their first series ever at Tropicana Field. They were eliminated on the 23rd of September. The Royals clinched a wild card spot up 3 days later. And that actually, at that time, when the Blue Jays were eliminated and the Royals made the playoffs, the Blue Jays then had the longest streak of non-playoff appearances. This is before the Mariners' misery continued in Major League Baseball. They had the longest active streak of not making the playoffs. It might have seemed in 2018 and 2019 the Blue Jays would never make the playoffs again. They did with the expanded playoffs last year. They're in contention this year. I believe they have the same fate that the 2014 team did. But an Achilles heel, I don't want to get this in quick because I don't want to go too far with this, is their record against other playoff teams. They were 8-12 against the Orioles, who won the AL East. They were 2-5 against the Angels, who won the West. 3-4 against the Royals, 3-4 against the A's. They did go 5-1 against the AL Central winning Detroit Tigers, but you can see that pattern as well. The Blue Jays have struggled against teams that are in playoff contention. So what does that mean? Maybe nothing. But we're going to talk each year on Blue Jays Way about a different pennant race and see how it can be applied. Keith, with a quick question. Personally, I think Pearson will pitch later out of the bullpen to showcase himself for Cleveland. He'll be involved in a trade for Ramirez. Wow, what a big trade that would be. Keith, I wish we could talk longer on this. We try to keep it to about a 30-minute deal. I'm going to respond to you. Please do check. I'm going to respond to you on YouTube and Facebook and put that out there. Wow, if Pearson is showcasing and then going to go to Cleveland, become a guardian in a trade for Ramirez. Wow, that would be, it's a tough give up, but I make that deal any day. Well, we're already out of time. I could wax poetic about other things about 2014 and 2021. I'll have to wait for another show. Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Jason from the Couch YouTube channel. Make sure you check out Karen Suter this Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Jason from the Couch radio podcast on Mondays, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm the Feckless Wonder, Steve Fek. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk with you next week.